Greetings, fellow Whovians, and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. In honour of the most recent announcement that David Tennant and Catherine Tate are returning to Doctor Who for the 60th anniversary, I thought I'd review the opening episode to Season 4 of Modern Doctor Who, Partners in Crime, which was originally broadcast on BBC One in April 2008. Just in case you don't know the plot, the 10th Doctor and Donna are simultaneously investigating the goings-on at Adipose Industries and its CEO, Miss Foster, who is selling a pill that helps with weight loss. The Doctor and Donna reunite to stop Miss Foster's plans, which includes the fat walking away. This episode had great character chemistry, especially between the 10th Doctor and Donna, which I will touch upon a little bit later in this review. But I just wanted to talk about the characters individually, starting off with David Tennant as the 10th Doctor. Now, this is his third season as the 10th Doctor, or the start of his third season, and he's really getting into his stride, isn't he, really, in this episode and series 4, especially having such a strong season that he did in season 3 of Modern Doctor Who. What I really enjoyed from his performance in this episode particular is his facial expressions. So many facial expressions in this one. Highlights are him popping over the board when he's talking to one of the staff members at Adipose Industries. The facial expression that he made when he makes the two sonic screwdrivers meet and having that weird sonic boom going off. And also I have to mention that really quiet moment when the Doctor was making one of his discoveries whilst investigating Adipose and thinking there was a companion on board the TARDIS, and then he looks up and then there was no one. No jacket for Rose Tyler, no Martha, no Astrid, and that long shot of the TARDIS, and he's just on his own. And yeah, it's a heartbreaking scene for the Doctor. You know, it just clearly sort of tells the audience that, you know, as much as he loves traveling, he doesn't like traveling alone. And then we have the returning Catherine Tate as Donna Noble. And I'm not going to lie to you, when it was announced back in 2007, 2008, that Catherine Tate was going to come back as a full-time companion for season 4 Doctor Who, or series 4 Doctor Who, sorry, I was very skeptical. I thought she did a good performance in The Runaway Bride, a little bit sort of fog on moments, and I thought, oh gosh, if they're going to do that throughout the 12 or 13 episodes of Doctor Who, that's going to get really old really quickly. And boy, was I absolutely wrong. This was a nice easy reintroduction to Donna Noble, because obviously, you know, didn't need to do a retread of what we know from The Runaway Bride, so that was a nice sort of easy sort of slip into to that returning role. But I'm glad that they kind of rounded out her character, a lot less sort of, you know, mouthy, definitely mouthy, but a little bit more sort of restrained in that sort of sense, and a lot more rounded out, and a lot more vulnerabilities to the character as well, which I really liked. But Catherine Tate brought them out and then some. I thought she did a fantastic job throughout series 4 of Doctor Who. So glad that she's coming back for the 60th anniversary. But in this episode particularly, it just kind of showcased her as a serious actress, as a comedian as well. And yeah, I was definitely proven wrong. Donna really is probably my favourite companion from the modern era of Doctor Who. And like I mentioned earlier in this review, the chemistry between David and Catherine is just off the charts. There is some fantastic moments. The most iconic, really, now, I would say, and definitely the highlight of this episode, is the miming scene between the Doctor and Donna when they first meet each other. And I really loved the tease in the story of nearly seeing each other inside the Adipose Industries building, or near the sort of on the streets of London. Very much looked like a street similar to Attack of the Cybermen with the Sixth Doctor and Perry. I'm sure that's a bit of a hidden Easter egg, surely. Let me know in the comments if you know that for a fact. But yeah, having all that little tease and then the build up, and then you see each other in one from the window to the other. Such great chemistry, and again, great facial expressions from Catherine Tate as well. And I also loved like the serious moments that they had, especially the scene when Donna was jumping into the TARDIS, and the Doctor was saying, "Look, life in the TARDIS is complicated, like it was with Martha, and that was all his fault. And they just wanted, he just wants a mate." I love that it went from sort of comedy to serious, sort of hitting the emotional strings, back to sort of comedy again. And it was just a flavor of what we got to see between the Doctor and Donna throughout series 4 of Doctor Who. Just fantastic to watch. This episode also introduced Donna Noble's family. So we had a quick scene with Sylvia Noble, played by Jacqueline King. And that was a really cool scene to see, with Donna just sat at the kitchen table while Sylvia is just ranting on, saying that she's wasting her life. She's just drifting away. When she's going to sort of grow up and have a proper job. So that was sort of like a really sort of straight away, just a quick sort of 10-second scene, but you already knew what the dynamics are between mum and daughter. But also we had the introduction to Donna's grandfather, Wilfred Mott, played by the legend that is Bernard Cribbins. And again, this was a really nice scene to have out in the allotment, Wilf stargazing and Donna talking about the Doctor, and you're going to see me one day up in those stars. So again, you had this. There's more of a bond between Donna and Wilf than there is Donna and Mum. Now, I knew that Bernard was originally just a one-shot deal in the previous Christmas special, The Voyage of the Damned, but with everything that happened with the person that was going to play Donna's father, Geoffrey Noble, Howard Atfield, then they kind of quickly had to rewrite that character and have Bernard Cribbins involved. So it was great that Bernard had an extra role, because it would have been very different, I think. But Bernard, man, he's just fantastic. So good. And again, glad that he's returning for the 60th anniversary. I know it was done in some kind of more sort of sad circumstances, really, because Howard had to retire from the role and subsequently passed away not too long after he had to leave that role. And I didn't realise that there were actually scenes filmed between Howard and Catherine, and basically Geoffrey Noble was going to be the stargazing father, and then quickly changed to the stargazing grandfather. Gone, but definitely not forgotten. We have a great antagonist for the Doctor and Donna for this episode, in the form of Miss Foster, played wonderfully by Sarah Lancashire. Again, great presence. You see her from as Raquel from Coronation Street to this, and then more recently, Happy Valley. If you haven't seen Happy Valley, check that out. Sarah Lancashire is fantastic in that role. But yeah, she's brilliant here. I had no doubts about that when they sort of showed the clips of what was coming up for Series 4 of Doctor Who, and her face popped up. I was like, yep, in there. And yeah, fantastic actress, and a really good character as well, because she wasn't like an out and out villain, really. She was just basically the ego got the better of her, really. She thought she was right and she was clearly wrong. And that's sometimes a bit refreshing to see, instead of having like a villain or a monster of the week. And of course, we have the adorable adipose, and yeah, these are really good creature designs, really, just keeping them nicely plain face, because they are literally the fat that comes out of you, and just being like these little children just floating around, especially at the end where they're all sort of waving when they get beamed up into the spaceship, and just wandering around the streets of London. And I thought that was pretty good special effects, especially for 2008. I can't believe it's been 14 years, over 14 years now, since this episode has aired. And for, the effects still hold up quite well. And yeah, like I said, I like the design of the adipose, and just being these sort of cute creatures. And it just sort of like, sort of really sort of tread the stories of, you know, they're not evil, they're children, you know, and they didn't know, they didn't decide how they were going to be born. That's something that was kind of put on Miss Foster, really. So I'm glad that they kind of weren't like a villain type creature. Just, you know, keep them sort of po-faced and innocent was really nice. But I felt really bad that some of them got run over by a taxi driver. It's sort of one of those hear it and you miss it type of moments. But go back, you know, they get killed by a taxi driver. You hear them getting squished under his wheels. So that's so sad. In all, I had a great time rewatching this episode, ready for this review. It's probably one of the most strongest opening episodes to a series of modern Doctor Who. So with that, I'm going to give Partners in Crime a TARDIS rating of 7 out of 10. What I also liked about this episode was, on the surface, it's just an easy sort of reintroduction to Donna, reintroduction to the 10th Doctor, and then see them go off on their adventures, and obviously really sort of builds that up towards the end of the series. But what Russell T Davies cleverly sort of throws in, which we was kind of getting used to really over the past subsequent series of modern Doctor Who, was what was kind of the clues. So like for season 2 there was the theme of Torchwood, for season 3 there was the theme of Henry Saxton, and here it was kind of like just building up to basically planets disappearing, which wasn't really sort of overly, it wasn't kind of like overly hammered in really in this episode. It's kind of like, whilst you know, look back and rewatch, that you kind of like all the clues were there. So like for example, the planets disappearing, the bees disappearing, that was sort of mentioned quite a few times. You kind of can guess that the Daleks was going to be involved in some shape or form in season 4 of Doctor Who, but no way in the scale that what we got in the 2-part finale. But yeah, this was a really good introduction on the service level, with some nice little great character chemistry and character development, and also setup for the rest of the season going forward. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts to Partners in Crime. Now for me, I think this is one of my favourite opening episodes to a series of modern Doctor Who, so I'd love to know what is yours, and also what is your favourite Doctor and companion combination for modern era of Doctor Who. I think for me it's going to have to be the 10th Doctor and Donna, but again, I would love to know what is your favourite Doctor and companion from the modern era of Doctor Who. Next time on Timey Wimey Review, I will be reviewing the 9th Doctor episode, The Long Game. Until then, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that cloister bell for more notifications. But until then, as the good doctor once said, you've got a hat box.